If you are cheap or you're a cheat, God's not going to bless that. That will never work. If you're stingy with those you care about most, God's not going to pour out this massive amount of wealth on your life. All right, this is for the young people. You have barely any money and you want to start investing. How can you do that? I want to take a step back and read some verses to you out of the Bible because I think this is important. Luke 16:10, if you are faithful in little, you'll be trusted with much. Zechariah 4:10, do not despise the day of small things. Matthew 13:31, the kingdom starts as the smallest seed, it becomes the greatest. Job 8:7, you're beginning small, your latter and end will be greatly increased. Proverbs 13:11, wealth gained little by little grows. Matthew 25:21, faithful over a few things, ruler over many. So the Bible is really clear on this, all throughout the Bible. You're starting with a little amount of money. That's great. You can't get hurt very bad if you lose that little amount of money. But I think that God blesses those that take risk. When you get into the stock market, when you buy some crypto, when you try to invest into a house, whatever it is, you are taking risk and God will bless that. Don't take foolish risk. Submit yourself to wise counsel. Read some books. Listen to some podcasts. There's so much wisdom online. A guy, Grant Cardone, he said there's $1 million in every book, and he just has to find it. So what he means by that is there's $1 million idea in almost every financial book. You just got to figure out how does it apply to you and what could you do with it. So I think my biggest encouragement for a young person with a little amount of money, start small and put a higher priority on your financial wisdom, your life wisdom, who you are, your character. God's not going to pour out a giant blessing on you if you're a stingy, cheap cheat. If you are dishonest with your money, if you're trying to cheat your work out of, I clocked in an extra hour, I didn't tithe to the Lord. If you are cheap or you're a cheat, God's not going to bless that. That will never work. If you're stingy with those you care about most, God's not going to pour out this massive amount of wealth on your life. If you are abundance like our Lord is, and you look through the Bible and look at how he honors people, I mean, the parable of the talents. The guy with 5 talents turned it into 10 talents. That's epic. That guy doubled his money. Amazing. He took risk. The Lord blessed it and thanked him for it. God is not a God of preservation. He's not looking for you to preserve the exact amount of money he gave you. He wants you to multiply it. There's a ton of financial wisdom out there in books, online, wise counsel. You need to steward that. Steward the life that God has given you. When I was 14 and had $400 in my pocket, I wasn't like, wow, I'm going to amass a fortune. I was like, what is my next right step with this money? And for me, that was, how do I multiply it? How do I buy and sell something that gets me into the $1,000, into $10,000, into $100,000? My dad told me this when I was a young boy. Getting to your first 1,000, the second 1,000 comes quick. And he wasn't wrong. That getting to $1,000, very hard. Getting to 2,000, easier. Same thing with getting to 10,000, that's hard. Getting to 20, much easier. Getting to 100,000, very hard. Getting to 200, much easier. A very wise man, Jim Rohn, who I listen to a lot on YouTube. I read his books. I listen to his audio cassette tapes I bought on eBay. They're great. He said, become a millionaire, not because of the money, but because of who it'll create you to be along the way. The character it develops in you along the way. You don't want to be rich just to be rich. You want to be rich because you can be generous, that you can be godly, that you can be the type of person that can build a business that grows to $1 million, that you can be the type of person that can bless people. But God, if you're not able to build something or amass any savings or wealth, you're probably the problem. You need to change. You need to grow up. You need to get some character. You need to get a mentor. You need to submit to wise counsel. You need to get in a good church, and you need to do what they say and be humble. It's crazy how arrogant we feel at 18, at 20, at 24. We know nothing at that point, and the people around us, the humble ones, aren't going to shove their wisdom in our face. We should run at wisdom. So if I had to give you advice on how to start investing with very little money, run at wisdom, and the rest will follow. Read the book, listen to the podcast, find the wise counsel, be in a good church, and add a lot of responsibility to your life. Get married young, have a bunch of kids. You will have to rise to the occasion and become somebody that can be financially wise. So it's not that hard. I think we all have this fallacy in our mind that 45-year-old that drives that Mercedes knows so much more about finance than we do. I bet that guy's read like one book on finance and he's just good at taking out a loan. That's not a skill at all. It's shocking how little people have saved in their 30s, in their 40s, and in their 50s. Most people don't really get activated for retirement and all that until they're 45 or 50. It's wild to me. And the last thing I'll leave you with, for any of you who are like 18 to 25 and you're like, I want financial independence. What? How are you going to get financially independent when you've never had a job? You don't have any marketable skills. You need to develop all that. It's all possible. But if I've been told that by so many young men and women, they want to be financially independent. That's not like a bad desire, but you're missing so many steps in between. And wisdom lies between now and financial independence. And you need to seek wisdom because you don't have it. Because every time I've asked a young person how they're going to do it, there's no wisdom there. They don't actually have a plan. They just have an end zone. And end zone's cool. That's awesome. But there's some really practical next steps you need to make, some goals you need to set. Because there's not going to be some big windfall. You're not going to get on Shark Tank and then give you $10 million. Like it's not going to happen. You need to start small. You need to work hard. You need to develop skills, and you need to be somebody who respects themselves because you show up and you work hard, and you've developed the skills it takes to grow in wealth and investing in a legacy. You need to become a person that respects themselves. This is not self-love. This is not any of those things. This is someone, when you look in the mirror, you like what you see because you work hard. You're respectable at your job. You're somebody that people look up to. You're somebody that does what they say they're going to do. You're not off pontificating about financial independence. You're showing up to your job 30 minutes early, working hard, staying late, becoming somebody that is worth God blessing. I think that's really offensive probably to you. But if you can't show up early and be one of the standout employees, why would God bless you? Why would he pour out a bunch of resources in your lap if you're not the steward? He's looking for the steward. He's not looking for someone that he needs to keep paying more incrementally. He's looking for somebody that stands out, and we're in short supply. It is the biggest opportunity of a lifetime right now because very few people will show up to work and do their job. Very few people will read a book. Very few people will go and listen to that podcast. Everybody's scrolling on TikTok and Instagram, watching these 60-second shorts. There is no meat there. You need to go deeper. You need to find the wise counsel at your church, the old gray-haired dude that no one really fully understands what he did with his life, but man, he's generous. Go ask him some questions. It's a blessing to him. Somebody's taking interest in him and cares about him, and he gets to, at his end of his life, make a meaningful impact in the next generation. I've never had a mentor turn me down from me asking humble questions as long as I go apply that wisdom and get better. So I'm going to put the responsibility on all of you. Show up early, be self-respectable, read some books, find a mentor, and work really hard. So that's my offensive word on how to get started investing in your 20s with a little bit of money. You got a lot of time. Get to work. And thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you guys.